In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God. Christ is in our midst. He was, and is, and ever shall be. Sometimes I wonder, I wouldn't be surprised if those who look at the history of the Divine Liturgy and how it was celebrated in the very first years and decades and centuries even of the Church, if they, when they looked at the word Kyrie eleison, like we sing here every many times during our many Orthodox Christian services, I wonder in the first years of the liturgy if Kyrie eleison, rather than being sung beautifully, if it was just merely yelled. You had all the people, whenever there was a petition, they yelled Kyrie eleison, Lord have mercy on me. Over and over again, for every petition that was given, they yelled Kyrie eleison. Now I can imagine after a while a choir director said, I have an idea. I'm going to set this to music and make it sound so beautiful and melodious. And there we have what we sing today. I don't know if that's really how it developed, but I can imagine it being so. And nonetheless, when we say Kyrie eleison, Lord have mercy, and we sing it beautifully, I don't recommend nowadays yelling out Kyrie eleison, but when you sing it, have that in your heart, what it is that we're saying. When we say Kyrie eleison, Son of David, Kyrie eleison, have mercy on me, we should be expressing before the living God, before Jesus Christ, our desire and expressing before him that we have problems in our lives, this problem of sin, this problem of illness and death, and it's a problem that we cannot just apply our hearts and minds to them. You know why? Because our hearts and our minds and our will, as free as our will is warped. It's bent. And it's bent in a way that we ourselves, no matter how much we set our heart and our mind and our will to it, we cannot ourselves make it straight because our will and our hearts and our minds and our souls are twisted. They are bent. And just imagine if I went inside the altar, I got a nice piece of aluminum foil, nice and flat and smooth. I can look at it and see my reflection in it. If I went and crumpled that up and then laid it out on the table and tried to make it flat and smooth with a mirror finish again, it would be impossible. It would be impossible for me to do that with any. In fact, the more I tried to make it straight and smooth again, it would tear, it would rip, and it would be worse than ever before. This is the case of mankind and our own sin and our broken will and our perverted free will, that the more we try and fix it ourselves, we'll just make a big mess of it. And so this man today, this blind man who is in Jericho, on the walls of Jericho, when he sees Jesus and he says, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of David, eleison me, have mercy on me, he is expressing, and Jesus did this miracle with reason, with wisdom. It says he was in a crowd of people, of many sick people and people of need. And he heard this man cry out. And this man Jesus stopped and went to and said, what do you want? And the man said, I'm blind. I want to see again. And Jesus says, see again. Your faith has made you well. Now, just a little bit about this man here. Now, this account is found both in this Gospel of Luke and in the Gospel of St. Mark. St. Mark actually names the man. His name is Bartimaeus. And it's very unusual in the scriptures for a healed person, to actually have their name mentioned. It's mentioned a few other times. But here, why does St. Mark mention his names? Well, commentators say that it's probably because this Bartimaeus followed Mark on his journeys, perhaps followed St. Paul on his journeys, and he was well known where he went And even before he got there, people knew who this Bartimaeus was. We can imagine this Bartimaeus was so loud and wanted his voice to be heard so much that when this good thing happened to him, he wanted to share with the whole world what happened, what Jesus did for him. So this is this Bartimaeus, this blind man is. Now he's found at the gates of Jericho. Jericho, in the ancient world, had a reputation. It had a reputation of kind of the place of loose living, the place of, again, where people did whatever they wanted. Whatever happened in Jericho stayed in Jericho. And it was for a reason that God had Joshua destroy Jericho in the Bible centuries before this account here, because it was a place of abandonment of God, of license, of abusing the free will to worship all kinds of things, worshiping the creation rather than the Creator. And here we find Bartimaeus sitting outside the wall, begging. Now, what was Jesus doing in Jericho? Well, we know Jesus, that he goes to where the need is. He goes to where the people are suffering. He goes where the people are suffering from sin the most. And there Jesus is found where he should be and where we expect him to be, ministering to these people. Now, this Bartimaeus was a blind beggar. And this is the perfect symbolic human being that Jesus can use to heal in order to teach all of us. Now, this is an event that really happened. Bartimaeus was really blind. He could not see, and he really was a beggar. But the church fathers look at the spiritual application to all of us. Now, this person who is blind, he cannot see as he was meant to see. And this represents the consequences of sin. We were made lovingly by God so that we can see God and marvel at God and enjoy fellowship with God and have a full relationship with all of our senses with our living God. So the fact that this man is blind represents those who cannot see God, who have lived apart from God, who have no guide, and in many ways are self-guided and therefore lost. And again, they are not seen as God intended to see. This is what sin does to us. And then he's a beggar. Bartimaeus cannot possibly live by his own hands, by his own labor. He can only be vulnerable. And this blind beggar found himself stuck, unable to lift himself up by the bootstraps, as we say today, and make better choices and be more prayerful and apply his will better, make better choices. This blind beggar represents those who are stuck in their sins. So this blind beggar represents mankind and this unsolvable problem of sin and of a broken will and of a corrupted heart and of a polluted soul. And so there's only one solution for Bartimaeus, and Bartimaeus knows it. That's why he's yelling to Jesus, "Jesus, Son of God, Lord, have mercy, have pity on me." Now, Christianity, Orthodox Christianity, is a solution religion. Orthodox Christianity is the only religion out there that offers this solution to this problem that we cannot fix ourselves. Only Jesus Christ has promised, the only God in the history of mankind that has promised and performed and successfully forgave men and women of their sins. Jesus Christ is the only God who ever made our once bent wills straight again. If we follow Christ and we learn from Christ and keep going back and back and back to him, our will be made straight and our souls will be cleansed. and our hearts will be purified. This is why only Christianity, only Orthodox Christianity, is a solution religion. It is a salvation religion. It is the solution that we need. And this is Jesus' mission as the physician to heal our broken souls and our broken bodies, not just our external bodies, our eyes, our bones, our hands, our legs, but our inner selves as well, which are infected. So Bartimaeus begs incessantly, Kyrie eleison, Lord, have pity on me. This blind man revealed the greatest virtue because he was open and honest with himself. He hid nothing from God. He stood up in public. He claimed to everyone that he is not perfect and that this man, Jesus Christ, can help him. One father said that Bartimaeus is the prototypical Orthodox Christian for us to follow. Why? Because he confessed Jesus as God. He saw Jesus as the only one that can forgive his sins. And then it says, after he received this great healing, that he insisted on following after Jesus and telling the whole world what God did for him and what he can do for all of us. Now, this is a little side note. We hear about these people that were telling Bartimaeus to be quiet, to COP, be quiet. Now, what do these people represent? They represent, one father said, the secular world. You know, I can understand with this what's going on in the crowd. We have this VIP walking by, this very important, famous rabbi coming to their town, and he's walking by, and they're all in awe. I don't know if they're cheering, if they're also asking God for help, but you see this blind beggar acting like a lunatic, crying out, Lord, have mercy. And so they tell him to be quiet. They start shushing him. Why was this? One father asked. Because they had different values than Bartimaeus. Perhaps they still had this value, this very modern today of self-reliance. We are all expected to handle our own problems. We are expected to fix ourselves. We are expected to find all of philosophy, it seems, the Greeks, the Romans, the Eastern philosophies are trying to find the ways to cure ourselves, to solve our problems, and to apply our free will to solve these problems. This is why they told him to keep quiet. But Bartimaeus showed the biblical value. Bartimaeus showed the Orthodox Christian value, which is to beg God, to yell, Kyrie eleison, Lord, have mercy. You, Lord, are the only solution to my problem, my unsolvable problem of sin. Only Bartimaeus in that whole crowd, it seems, was the one who was rightly orientated, not inward to his own, fixing his own problems and hiding all of his problems from the world around him, but outward, yelling out to God, to Lord, have mercy. So let us imitate this blind beggar, his humility, his honesty, his admission of his problems before God. We must keep begging. We must stand next to Christ because we have a great reward of a fixed will. Can you imagine how good it would feel to be able to have a will that is right, working, to have a mind that is clear thinking, to have a soul that is, and a conscience that is purified and clear, and to have a mind that points us to the living God. How great that would be. What a reward that would be to have fellowship with our God, both here and in this world, but most especially in the world to come.